Gabe Rosado has his eyes set on Edgar Berlanga as his next opponent if he can't land a fight with Jaime Munguia or Caleb Plant. Rosado is confident in his skills and believes he would be a much tougher challenge than Berlanga's last opponent, Jonathan Gonzalez-Ortiz. The veteran fighter feels that Berlanga's choice of opponent in his recent match was far from competitive, and he wants to prove that he is the real challenge Berlanga should be facing. With his experience in the ring, Rosado is eager to test Berlanga and show that he still has what it takes to compete at the highest level. Rosado didn't hold back in his criticism, calling Berlanga's recent fight embarrassing. He pointed out that Gonzalez-Ortiz was not only an older and less competitive opponent, but also came into the fight overweight, which made the entire match look unprofessional. In Rosado's opinion, Berlanga should be fighting much tougher opponents if he wants to be taken seriously in the super middleweight division. Many fans agree with Rosado's assessment, wondering why Berlanga was given such an easy fight when there were plenty of stronger contenders available. They believe that, as a fighter who is trying to rise in the rankings, Berlanga should have been matched against someone who would truly test his abilities. Berlanga, who appeared more like an unfit light heavyweight rather than a sharp super middleweight, had no trouble dealing with Gonzalez-Ortiz. He quickly overwhelmed his opponent, knocking him down 3 times before securing a first-round knockout victory. While the win may have looked impressive on paper, many observers felt it did little to prove Berlanga's true potential. Critics argue that fighting an unprepared and out-of-shape opponent does not demonstrate real skill or readiness for higher-level competition. Instead, they feel Berlanga should be facing ranked fighters who can push him to his limits and show whether he is truly capable of competing with the best in the division. Despite Rosado's challenge, it remains uncertain whether Berlanga will accept the fight. Many believe that his promoter, Eddie Hearn, will instead look to set up a bigger matchup against someone like Caleb Plant or Jaime Munguia. These high-profile fights would generate more attention and could position Berlanga for an even bigger opportunity in the division. If those fights don't materialize, Berlanga's team will likely find another opponent who fits their strategy for building his career. As for Rosado, he remains ready and willing to step into the ring, hoping for the chance to prove himself against one of the division's rising stars. Rosado has always been known as a warrior in the ring, taking on some of the toughest opponents throughout his career. His willingness to fight anyone, anywhere, has earned him respect among boxing fans. Despite his ups and downs in the sport, he continues to push forward, believing he still has plenty to offer. A fight against Berlanga would not only be a major opportunity for him, but also a chance to expose what he believes are weaknesses in Berlanga's game. Rosado is confident that his experience, durability, and boxing IQ would make him a serious threat to Berlanga, who has yet to face someone with his level of skill and grit. The criticism of Berlanga's choice of opponents isn't new, as many fans and analysts have questioned the level of competition he has faced. While his early knockout streak made him an exciting prospect, his performances against tougher opposition have raised doubts about his true ability. His last few fights have lacked the same explosive energy that made him a rising star, and critics argue that he has yet to prove himself against elite competition. Facing a battle-tested fighter like Rosado could be the challenge he needs to silence his doubters and show that he belongs among the top contenders in the division. Matchroom Boxing, which promotes Berlanga, has significant plans for his future, and they may not see Rosado as the right opponent to help him move forward. Instead, they could push for a fight against Caleb Plant or Jaime Munguia, both of whom are bigger names in the sport. A matchup with either of these fighters would bring Berlanga more exposure and potentially lead to a title shot down the line. However, avoiding Rosado could also reinforce the narrative that Berlanga is being carefully protected from dangerous fights. If Berlanga truly wants to be recognized as a serious contender, taking on and defeating a veteran like Rosado could be a major step in the right direction. For Rosado, this fight represents more than just another payday. It's about proving that he still belongs in the conversation among top super middleweights. He has fought some of the best names in the sport and while he has had setbacks, his experience gives him a unique edge over younger fighters like Berlanga. Rosado thrives in fights where he is underestimated, and he sees Berlanga as an opponent who has been given too much hype without facing real adversity. If given the chance, Rosado believes he can expose Berlanga's flaws and derail his momentum, much like he did when he knocked out Bektemir Melikuziev in a stunning upset. As the boxing world waits to see what Berlanga's next move will be, Rosado continues to make his case for the fight. He is vocal about his desire to step into the ring with Berlanga, and fans are taking notice. If Berlanga chooses to ignore the challenge, it could raise more questions about whether he is truly ready for elite-level competition. On the other hand, if the fight does get made, it has the potential to be an explosive battle between a rising star and a seasoned veteran looking for one more big win.